If you've ever tried to get better with money and it worked for a little while, but it didn't last, you're not the problem. Welcome back. This is day 25 of your money mindset reset. Yesterday, we talked about becoming someone who is good with money, the identity shift that makes everything else sustainable. Today, we're talking about the practical side of that. Because knowing who you want to become, well, that's one thing. Building the habits that reinforce it every single day, that is a completely other matter. The reason most money habits don't stick has nothing to do with discipline. It has everything to do with fit. Most financial advice hands you a system, a series of spreadsheets, track every expense, build a detailed budget, automate everything. Follow this specific framework, and the system itself might be perfectly sound. Those are all great things to do. But if it doesn't fit your personality or your life or how your brain actually works, it won't last. Not because you're not disciplined enough, because you're trying to sustain a habit that was designed for someone else. The question most people never ask is, what will I actually do consistently? Not what should I do. We can all know what we should do, but we know we won't. So why bother? What will I actually do given who I am and how I live? Discipline is so overrated as a mechanism for habit formation. What actually sustains habits is alignment with your values, your personality, your life, and your why. A habit you hate doing, requires willpower every single time. A habit that fits with you requires so much less. There are a few things I do consistently now without much effort. Not because they're exciting, they're not, but because they fit how I actually think. I check my accounts regularly, but not obsessively, just consistently. Part of what keeps me doing it, honestly, I want to make sure nothing has gone sideways. It's less about optimization and more about not letting something slip through. I make a point not to overspend, and I pause before making a majority of purchases. I genuinely pause, not just this brief hesitation. The size of the purchase determines how long I'm going to sit with it. Something small, it might get a day. Something significant might get a week or more. Depends on what it is and how much room I have to wait. The pause is the thing that keeps me from making decisions based on what I want in that moment versus what actually makes sense. It keeps my mood from running the day. Those habits stick because they fit how I'm wired. They don't feel like a system I'm imposing on myself. They feel like a reasonable way for me to operate. A habit that feels natural to your personality requires no maintenance. A habit that fights every fiber of your being and your personality requires absolute constant effort. And when you're building new financial habits, personality fit is not a luxury, it's the whole game. And then there's the other side. The things I've tried that simply don't stick, and I've stopped pretending that they will. Tracking every expense to the penny is not something I do. It's not something I'm going to do. It feels deeply restrictive to me, and when something feels that way, I won't sustain it. Maybe it will work for you, it won't for me. And I don't see that as a character flaw, but just how I'm built. What I do instead is work from this kind of rounded understanding of what a normal month looks like. I know what my regular expenses run. So when a month is running higher than usual, when certain bills spike or something unexpected shows up, I notice it. And that awareness is what triggers more careful monitoring for the rest of that month. Is it a perfect system? No, but it's a real one. And a real system I'll actually use beats this perfect system that I abandon after 2 weeks every single time. There's no universally correct financial habit. There is only what you will actually do repeatedly over time. Honesty about what fits you is not an excuse to avoid hard things. It's how you find the version of the hard thing you'll actually stick with. Now, I want to be clear about something here because I don't want this to sound like everything should feel easy. There are things I handle I genuinely don't enjoy. Financial conversations are the main one. I have to psych myself up for them every single time. I kind of brace myself mentally, prepare for it not to go well, prep for potential conflict, and that's whether that conflict is actually coming or not. It's not the healthiest response, and I can own that. I haven't got past it yet, and I can't promise I ever fully will. But I will still have those conversations. I will do it kicking and screaming sometimes, but I have them. And that's the distinction I want you to hold on to. Habits don't require you to love something. They require you to do it anyway, consistently enough that it becomes part of how you operate, even when it's uncomfortable. The goal isn't to find financial habits that you love. The goal is to find the ones that you'll do, even on the days that you'd rather not. Sustainable habits aren't always the ones that feel good. Sometimes they're just the ones you've decided are non-negotiable. The feeling follows the action, not the other way around. So for you, what's one money habit that actually sticks? Not what you think you should do to stick, but what actually does. And if nothing sticks yet, I'm curious about that too. Because knowing where you are is always the starting point. So we all have default behaviors, right? There are things that have just become automatic decisions that you make without really registering them as decisions anymore. I always evaluate cost versus value, not just price, but what that price actually gets me and for how long. A cheaper option that wears out in a year, well, that's not always cheaper than a more expensive one that lasts for 5 years. And that math has just become second nature. I pause before buying, and I've turned that pause into a practical strategy. Leaving something in an online cart and walking away does two things. It removes the impulse from the equation, and it occasionally produces a discount, like a code that seller is going to send you so you continue buying. It's, a seller incentive to close the sale. Sometimes I've already decided I'm buying it, and I'm just hoping for that little bonus. Either way, the pause serves me. And neither of those behaviors takes much effort anymore. They're just how I shop. And that's the destination, kind of with any financial habit. Not that it requires discipline every time, but that it eventually requires almost none. Why do habits stick? First, they stick when you start to see results. And this is the most honest answer. When something is clearly working, you keep doing it. The early days of any habit are the hardest because the results aren't visible yet. Getting through that window is the whole challenge. Second, they stick when they align with your values. When a habit connects to something that you genuinely care about, like your security, your family, your freedom, or your future, then it has its own fuel. When it doesn't connect to anything meaningful, it's running entirely on willpower, which eventually depletes. Third, they stick when they fit your actual life, not your ideal life, not someone else's system, and not the version of you that has more time and fewer obligations. The version of you that exists right now, today, with the life that you are actually living. We've got 4 prompts for our journal exercise today. First, what money habits actually fit my life right now? Not what do I want to do, but what do you actually do or could realistically do without major friction? Second, what have I tried that doesn't fit me? Write it down without judgment. Understanding what doesn't work is just as useful as knowing what does. Third, what is one habit I can simplify so I'll actually stick with it? Not track every dollar, track the categories that matter most. Not a full budget, but just know what a normal month looks like. And notice then when something's off. Find a version that's doable for you. And why does this actually matter to me? That's number 4. Get specific. Not, I want to be better with money, but what specifically are you building toward? What does this habit protect or create? That answer is what carries you through the days that you just don't feel like it. Because your why is the thing that outlasts motivation. Motivation comes and goes. A strong enough reason stays. You don't need more complicated systems or more discipline. You need habits that match who you actually are, that connect to something you actually care about, and that are simple enough to keep doing even when life gets loud and chaotic around you. Money habits stick when you start seeing results. They stick when they align with your values, and they stick when they make sense for the life you're actually living, not the one that you're aspiring to. So you start there and you build from what works. You always have more control than you think. You've got this. I'll see you tomorrow for day 26, where we talk about something that doesn't come up enough in financial content. That's confidence and boundaries around money. How to hold your ground, ask for what you're worth, and stop letting discomfort make financial decisions for you. I'll see you then.